been about more than a week since the verdict. As you sit here with me now, has it sunk in? How could it? Surreal and difficult in part, yes. This has been a long time coming. Do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse? Of course, to my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
To my dying day, I stand by my testimony. You know, sometimes it is really just important for any one of us to really just learn how to accept our mistakes. This is very relevant when I did a reaction to those Filipinos who are wearing inappropriately in the public area here in Taiwan. Well, somehow people would justify their mistakes by the word fun and happiness, but they have forgotten that there's always this limitation. So I really just want to react about this Amber Heard interview. Well, not everyone's following this. That's why if you are not into Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's trial, then it's up to you if you want to stay or linger. But I just want to have a quick reaction towards Amber Heard's interview because I think it is not really very friendly to those who are real victims of domestic violence. Now, I just posted recently that there were like 4 or 3 out of 5 wives who are suffering from domestic violence here in Taiwan, and that was like year 2020, I think. So we don't know this year what's the latest statistics with regards to domestic violence, but when the onset of this COVID-19 pandemic came to being from all over the world, like there are a lot of people who are suffering from domestic violence. Why? Well, because due to pandemic, people are forced to stay indoors, to stay with their families, which didn't really happen before. I think it is not a practice to many nationalities that they will stay with their families altogether. Well, in the Philippines, I think it's our culture to have extended family where like grandparents, uncles, aunts, and all of the above are all together in one roof. In Taiwan, it's pretty similar to the Filipinos. They also have this culture of staying in one roof, like a big family, extended family. Now, for people who are living in the West, it's not a practice for their family, especially if they're an adult, to stay with their mom and dad. So during the pandemic, everyone's really affected with this kind of arrangement. People are working from home, and there goes the friction between family members, and especially with the parents while they fight with each other. No, domestic violence is anywhere and everywhere, so I think there is this common perception with regards to domestic violence, the perpetrator, and the so-called victim. So it's pretty disturbing to see Amber Heard trying to have her first ever interview and trying to educate people on what domestic violence should look like. I think everyone knows and understands about it. So this is just a reaction towards what's really happening in this interview and how much would this interview affect the people, especially those who are on social media. Now, to be very clear to everyone, I am not a fan of Johnny Depp. I do watch Pirates of the Caribbean because I like the story. I like how they directed the story, the movie. I really kind of like fiction movies. I don't watch romantic movies. I don't really appreciate romantic or love stories. I prefer cartoon movies. So more often I watch fiction like this, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Lord of the Rings, and so and so. So from John 12-1, ma'am, suggest naman po yung pinsan ko po babae, gusto niya po mag-Taiwan pero kulang sa height. Salamat po. You can wait for another company that doesn't require height. It's alright. I'm sure there would be more companies that doesn't require height. Don't worry, John. Just let your cousin wait. And for legit job hiring here in Taiwan, you should try to check it out from the POEA website. Now, to continue.
The real-life drama of the defamation case between Amber Heard and her ex-husband, Johnny Depp, captivated millions of people around the world. Amber!
Now, from the beginning of the trial, that was like on the first or second week of April, what happened was nobody actually felt sorry or empathized to Johnny Depp. Well, I like to learn English, and I wanted to enhance my understanding towards business English and advanced English. So I watched the trial since it's study from home, work from home. So we kind of stayed late since then, stayed up late, and I've watched all kinds of movies already. So I decided to watch the trial, and that's how I learned a lot of vocabularies when you are in the court. And for me, it's so helpful to enhance my English proficiency. Since I graduated decades ago, like 2 decades ago, it's been too long since the last time I was at school. So, and aside from that, I also watch English TV dramas, and one of my favorite was The Suits, and I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's an American TV drama that is about smart lawyers, Harvey Specter and Mike Ross. I enjoy that drama because it's really more like an intellectual drama. Like, you don't have to watch it and just open your eyes and absorb everything. It's a kind of drama wherein you have to use your head, so you will like dissect what they're trying to tell you as the audience or the viewer of the drama. So The Suits, you try to research about that drama. I think it's so good if you want to learn and improve your English proficiency, especially if you need to like enhance your understanding towards the English language. That drama is so useful for everyone. Now, when I saw this trial online and live, I really wanted to watch it because I wanted to learn more about the real situation inside the court. Why? Because it happened to me. It happened to me personally. Like, I've been to a court, and well, apart from so many Filipino or migrant workers asking me about how to sue people, or what if I'm sued, what should I do, I really have to learn about it so we would be, knowledgeable with the legalities and like what is defamation, what's the limits of our free speech and all that. So this is it. And I think, I'm not sure if you are all following Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's trial, but in this case, Johnny Depp won. And it's very unprecedented for a man to win a case about domestic violence, because there's this Me Too campaign. Me Too, that means all women that speaks of violence should be believed, because it means that all women are like abused in a marriage. But during the trial, it proves everyone wrong, that somehow in a relationship, not only the men would engage to domestic violence, but women. And not only women are victims of violence, but also men. Now, as a Filipino, I think I witnessed a lot of men being a victim of domestic violence. So, from John, ma'am, baka po may alam kayo na company na tumatanggap ng kulang sa height. Baka matulungan niyo po kami. I do not know personally like which company first. I'm sorry if I respond in English, because this is my live about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, so at least people would know. Now, with your concern about the height requirement, I think not all company in Taiwan requires that, so you just have to wait for it. And more often they would announce that height requirement is not necessary, Now for the company, as I've said, you can try to check POEA for that, because all the legit job hiring here in Taiwan is in POEA. Not only in the agency, but it's more important for you to check it in our POEA website. Now we have freedom of information right now in the Philippines, so you can actually just check it online. Yes, I hope I answered your question, Jan. Now let's continue.
Just got exposed. Johnny, you hit me.
This is so cringe.
With clips spreading across social media like wildfire.
I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. I think that this trial is an example of that gone
Welcome.
haywire, gone amok, and the jury is not immune to that.
Now, first, let's talk about social media. Everyone is trying to participate within the trial on social media, not because they were paid by Johnny Depp, but because they also wanted to know the truth. Now, with your question, Jason Bullen, what agency license on POEA? Okay, now, a lot of job hiring from Taiwan is channeled to our government, and since POEA is part of the agency that is contacted for job interviews and job hiring, so they list all of it. And I think it's also in POEA where you can check the legitimacy of your agency. So I think it's really best to search. First, you can Google www.google.com and then POEA job hiring Taiwan. And then from there, you can actually just check all the kinds of job hiring available here in Taiwan. Now, for the question, PTF Jim, ma'am, may tumatanggap ba sa Taiwan ng factory worker kahit high school level lang? In my understanding, with no offense from anyone that's gonna be watching this video on TikTok and on my YouTube channel, Chini channel, most of all the job hirings I know, it requires diploma or undergrad from the tertiary level, or that means college level. Again, I'm sorry if I'm speaking in English because my life is for Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and well, this would also help other people understand the situation of our migrant workers here in Taiwan. So I hope I answered your question. Now, Grady, good day po, madam. Hello, Grady, how are you? So, to continue, while I have finished answering the few questions right there in the comment section, during this interview, Amber Heard expressed her dismay on social media. Now, in my case, like those who are not fanatics of Johnny Depp, she cannot really just tell the media, the television, in her interview that social media is being unfair to her because everyone's suffering injustice, bashing on social media. It's because we have really just extended a window where people can see and peek at your life anytime and anywhere. Now, you cannot blame anyone to side with Johnny Depp. It's because everyone sees what's happening actually during the trial, and it's a real trial. It's not drama, and people can see the credibility between her and Johnny Depp. So it's really funny because I'm from Taiwan, and I don't have any relationships with any Johnny Depp fan, whatever it is they call it, fan base. So when you talk about the social media against her, I think she has to go back to that year when she tried to paint Johnny Depp the perpetrator. the one who did the domestic violence, everyone really actually hated and said something against Johnny Depp without knowing the truth. Now, after like 6 years of that, Johnny Depp finally spoke his own truth, and he has been given a chance, really expensive chance, to speak of his truth. And for me, it was really smart of Johnny Depp to use the law to give him a chance to speak of the truth, because in that case, all evidences would be there, and people would really see through the evidences and the presentations between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, and people will know who's telling the truth. Okay. From Bicong, good day ma'am. Ask ko po, magbabayad po ba ng PhilHealth para makakuha ng OEC? Okay. According to many TikTok videos, I saw so many videos telling everyone and teaching everyone that you should have like proper contribution or active contribution. So I think that includes PhilHealth, SSS, and what other contributions are you giving our national government? I think it's together with it. But if you want to know the truth about it, I would suggest please search on Facebook PhilHealth, and then they will really answer to you. Why? Because I did that to help a friend, and they wanted to know how to settle their PhilHealth penalties, since it's been like how many years since the last time they paid their PhilHealth. So there was an online transaction already. So I would suggest Bicong, if you have time, you can search PhilHealth Philippines on Facebook, and they would really answer to your question. Yeah. PTF, as a fisherman, well, as a fisherman, I think skills would be very important. So I am not sure if they would really require diploma from the college degree with fishermen. I'm sorry, sir, I'm not familiar, but most of the job hirings I know, they require a diploma from the college degree or undergrad, at least 72 hours. So I'm really sorry about that. I'm not so sure about the requirements for fishermen. Bicong, good day ma'am. Ask ko magbabayad. Okay, I answered this. I'm sorry, Bicong, I'm not so sure about this, but I think it would be really nice of you to send a message to PhilHealth. But from my understanding, when you get a certificate of OEC, it's really one of important details to be very active with your contributions to many of our national contributions that you need to pay, like SSS and PhilHealth. Yes. Thank you, Benji, for answering the question. It's PO. You don't have to type the exact website. You just type search on Google POEA job hiring Taiwan, and that's it, and you will have that. Okay. So from grade D, Madam, pwede ba ako kumuha ng relatives na pwede mag-alaga sa anak ko dito sa Taiwan? I think it goes to sponsorship, Miss Grady. Now, it's quite difficult, especially before from my experience, okay? From my experience when I had my second child, that was 2014, it was quite difficult for me to apply for sponsorship, even if the one I invited was my aunt. But then again, it was actually approved because I supplied all the necessary documents. So that means to you, Miss Grady, it's possible for you to be able to invite your relative to take good care of your child. However, you need documentations, like first, why you can't take good care of your child. to your relationship with that relative. There must be like birth certificate. It's a long list of documents. Actually, my husband used to joke at me, like every time I invite my relatives here before, when there wasn't free visa entry yet, it's like writing a novel. I have to supply all the necessary documents, including the financial statement of the banks and their nature of income, so that Taiwan would really approve the visa for your relative to take good care of your child. So it's possible, but it isn't easy. However, if you can supply the documents, then that would be very possible. The basic ones would be your birth certificate and the birth certificate of your relative and your relationship. There must be like relationship connection between you and your relative, and you have to supply pictures of you and your relative, so the consulate or the TECO from the Philippines would see that you are together, and your relative won't be illegal alien here, when they come here in Taiwan. What they really need is just an assurance that they won't be running away from the obligation as a legal resident, a legal tourist or traveler here in Taiwan. I hope that's clear, and I'm sorry again for speaking in English since this is for Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial. Okay, from Benji, Facebook, maraming nagpo-post ng hiring to Taiwan. I would really discourage Jim to search Facebook posts for Taiwan hiring, because many of the posts on Facebook might be let's say not illegal, but perhaps not so specific on what they need and what they want you to do here. So I don't really suggest Jim to search on Facebook. What I wanted you to search is on our legit site, and that's POEA. I hope you heed to my advice. From Grady, may age limit po ba, madam? At gaano po sila katagal pwede magstay dito sa Taiwan? There are no age limits, none. If it's like an invitation to come here, for as long as you can provide the documents, and then it's fine. What kind of documents? So as what I've said, there must be birth certificate and the connection with you and the relative and the financial statement. You also have to supply pictures. Pictures are very important if you want to apply for visa. That's really essential. And I think I can help you more about this if you send me a private message on my Facebook Hello Phil Thai page. I can give you the name of the agent that could actually assist you for this visa processing. Now, since there's pandemic, perhaps both countries, from the Philippines and in Taiwan, would be very lenient with regards to visa application. So it would really help you if you send me a message, and I can clarify things to you, because it needs a lot of documents. So perhaps when you say she's my aunt, how did she become your aunt? So you have to supply. Now for Jim, you're welcome, and please, I know, thank you for our friend there who tried to answer Jim. There are really a lot of job hirings in Taiwan, but I really hope that you would try to check the legality of the job hiring, because again, I don't want to offend anyone, since so many Filipinos are so sensitive. When I said karamihan, I did not say in general. So there are so many Filipinos, especially during the free visa entry, who are abused here. I think you have heard of human trafficking. They were promised of a job back there in the Philippines, but when they came here in Taiwan, they were sold for selling their bodies. So that's really scary, and I don't want that to happen to anyone ever. That's why it's okay to look for a job. Just be sure that it's legal and it's safe for you, because once you come here, it's so difficult for us to help you. That's my point here. Just like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, we don't have the luxury of money to pay for lawyers here in Taiwan to defend your rights. So I hope you guys would really heed to my advice. You just go on to POEA, search for it, and job hiring Taiwan, and then you can actually just find it. And aside from POEA, I think the DOLE, right, Department of Labor, and what's that I forgot, employment, I think they also have some list about job hirings, not only local but also international. So we have the freedom of information right now. I think you guys can actually just search on it. And I do not really encourage Facebook posts for Taiwan hiring, including TikTok posts for job hiring. Filipinos are so intelligent, but we are gullible with so many posts. So I hope we guys should be very careful about it. So just like what Amber Heard said, she's pretty much affected by the posts on social media against her. Now, if we are careful enough to not do anything wrong on social media, no one will actually react to us negatively. Well, even if there are people reacting to you negatively, at least you know it for yourself that you're telling the truth. But with Amber Heard right now, she's trying to convince everyone that we don't understand what's happening in the trial. And that's pretty much impossible, because we all know that English is a universal language. Like me, I'm 100% Filipina. I speak Chinese. I also understand English, and I pretty much understand what's happening during the trial. That's why I'm reacting this way, because what she said during her interview is quite offensive to many of those who are victims of violence. I just remember one time I had a serious telephone conversation with a victim of domestic violence. She's a Filipina, and she wasn't only violated verbally, she was actually physically abused by her husband, a Taiwanese husband, and she actually lost her sanity. She's a little bit, I think, due to anxiety and depression, she's not acting 100% sane. So that's why I wanted to speak for those people who are really victims of violence. So you're welcome, Grade D. Please send me a message so I can help you with regards to the documents.
You think the jury saw it? How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this.
People online and crowds outside the courthouse made it clear where they stood.
Every single day I passed for 3, 4, sometimes 6 blocks, city blocks lined with people holding signs saying "Burn the witch," "Death to Amber." After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw just a courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized.
Can you put into words how that felt?
This was the most humiliating and horrible thing I've ever been through. I have never felt more removed from my own humanity.
Now, from her own words, I never felt removed from my very own humanity. You know, when I was reacting to those people who are acting inappropriately here in Taiwan, I received so many defamatory videos against me. I was accused of so many things that I've never done ever, including my person. They judge you even if they don't know you. They try to evaluate you according to what you say, even if they don't understand exactly the whole context of your video, even if they've only seen a bit of it. So with Amber Heard right now, it's quite a different story, because the reaction of the people on social media wasn't just based of one sentence or one statement of her speaking about what happened to her and Johnny Depp. It was actually based on what was going on in the trial and her behavior in the trial. I remember one interview of Amber Heard. She said, I'd rather be called a bitch than sweet." So what she's trying to impart to the audience is that she's a strong woman. And from the beginning of the trial until now, during her interview, she looks really strong. She doesn't really show any signs of being abused. I don't know. I've seen people abused and it's so different from her. The behavior is just so opposite. It's just so opposite. Really. I think you guys saw a lot of Filipinas, right? Who suffered from any forms of abuse at home. And really there's this image where those people who are victim of violence show, shame of what happened to them, and they're not proud of it, but they wanted to escape from it. They wanted it to end. But with Amber Heard, it's different. She's really so, so strong and so full of anger. That's why I'm reacting to this, because I want people to actually just understand sometimes social media really can do a lot to be able to show the truth to many situations. One example is with the 17th president, Bongbong Marcos. Like, even then, they were like reported with countless of accusations. But then during the onset of digital world in the Philippines, people are given more information towards Marcos, and many Filipinos tried to weigh in who should be the candidate to vote. Because if we didn't have social media, we probably just vote for like Vic Soto, not Vic Soto, Tito Soto, or probably vote for Pamphilo Lacson. These are the people whom we see all the time on TV, right? Nobody would ever know about Inday Sara Duterte or even Tatay Digong. Nobody would wanted to vote for them if not for social media. So there is pros and cons in terms of social media usage. So it really depends on the user, how you use the social media. And for Amber Heard, I think she underestimated the power of social media, and she thought that people would actually side to her since she's a female. But then people look through the actions and the behavior and the words of the person telling the story, and people are making a lot of comparisons when Johnny Depp told his story and versus Amber Heard telling her story. It turns out that Johnny Depp really was so truthful about it, and she was just so inconsistent.
I felt less than human.
Let's go back to the day of the verdict. Were you feeling confident?
That's a great question.
So this is really funny. When she was asked about the verdict, was she confident? And she said, "This is a very good question. It seems to me that she's answering a question from a beauty pageant." Like, people would always say thank you for that question. You know why? Because you wanted to extend the time to think about it. When I was in my college, my friends most of them were gays, okay? No offense meant to those men who are having a heart of a woman. I have a lot of friends from that kind of gender. So every time we have a recess from the class, since we have block sectioning before in Cebu Normal University, we always had fun, and we used Q&A for beauty pageants as a source of our fun that time. So every time we ask a question, me as a host and a judge, every pageant that they did at school, so my classmates would answer a question and they will always start with, that is, thank you for that beautiful question. Thank you for that nice question or great question. The purpose of that exactly is to extend the time for you to answer and to paraphrase all those statements that you wanted to say inside your head. So when you say it to the one who is asking the question, you would be able to phrase it in a really beautiful way, even if it's nonsense, but it sounds perfect, and people would tend to believe that you are answering the question perfectly, but in fact you were just using words to beautify your answer that perhaps somehow you're not certain if that answer is correct or not.
I wish I could say yes to that.
If you only see her reaction, she was like, I wish I could say yes to that. So by that kind of behavior alone, people will tell and could tell that she's even she herself is not convinced of what she's saying.
That I want to say yes to you, but it wouldn't be true. Even if you think that I'm lying, you still couldn't look me in the eye and tell me that you think on social media there's been a fair representation.
There is no fair representation on social media. I could really attest to that. I've been verbally abused on social media just because of reaction. So, and not this isn't the first time for me to be humiliated on social media. It happened before when I actually asked an attention to a fundraising that is not actually very transparent, and I hate corruption, so I tried to ask clarity of where the money went, and then people were ganging on my page and trying to tell me that blah 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 blah, trying to defend themselves because of trying to, by just asking the truth of what happened to the money that they're raising from people, from Filipinos. Now with her reaction here, there is really no justice on social media, because even if the verdict is for Johnny Depp, imagine on social media there are still people defending Amber Heard. See, and Johnny Depp didn't even cry, saying that the verdict is for me, and why would you support Amber Heard? That's impossible. People are trying to express themselves in social media like what I'm doing right now. So expecting justice on social media is insanity.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
After the 6-week trial, the jury found Heard defamed Depp in a 2018 Washington Post op-ed in which she wrote she was a public figure representing domestic abuse. She never mentioned her ex-husband by name. Depp denied the abuse allegations in court. Heard won just one of 3 claims in her countersuit against her ex-husband. That verdict came less than 2 years after a judge ruled against Depp in a similar case in the UK, in which he sued a British newspaper that called him a wife beater.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues that had even more evidence in. In fact, my evidence was largely kept out. Really.
With regards to evidence largely kept out, that was she's trying to impart to many people on social media and on television that many of her evidences are not actually approved or allowed. Same thing that happened to Johnny Depp's. Actually, there are so many audio circulating right now on social media and trying to tell everyone that Amber Heard was trying to ask Johnny Depp to not really go to court and all this and that. So she's not only the person suffering from that kind of limitation, because according to the lawyers of Johnny Depp, there are rules with regards to evidences, and it should be directed to what kind of complaint are you filing, and that's the only evidence that you can actually just submit to the court. Now, I could actually attest to this. Why? Because it was like 2020 when I was accused of something that I never really have done, and I was dragged to the court, and that's the time when I learned that when you accuse someone of something, it's your burden of proof as the one who filed the case to really provide all the proofs that that person did something really wrong against you. And to me, I wasn't even asked long in the court. Well, we were in the prosecutor's office that time. I wasn't asked that long because I wasn't really that involved. Yeah, there was this other person who were involved in that kind of a circus. So I was asked to go out from the court, and then when I went back, they were done already with what they discussed. I was just like really dragged into it. And I realized that when you accuse someone about something, you have the burden of proof to really prove to the court if you've done that person done something wrong against you. So why am I trying to react to this? Because for so many years now, I think since 2021, when the Filipino events here came to being, it has become trend. It has become like a culture or like a source of fun for many Filipino migrants here. Many of those who are trying to organize these events are into that kind of like situation, and many those who join the events are into a different kind of situation as well. So many of them would ask me this question on how to sue the person who tried to scam them. So what I always say is that you have to prove it, that they've done something wrong. So what should you do? First, you have to collect all the conversations. You have to print it out, or you put it in a USB file. And then aside from the screenshots, you have to provide the links of the conversation. So that would prove to the court that that person really did something wrong to you. You know, it's so important to really prove that that person really did something wrong to you. Now, the most common question I kind of receive is that, how do I sue the person bullying me on social media? For instance, how can I sue a person who posted my face and defamed me on TikTok? Since TikTok now is like a place for so many Filipino people here in Taiwan. So what you should do is to screenshot that post. Number 2, you have to copy the link of that post. And then next, you have to know the real name of the person who posted you. You have to know the address. If you know the passport number, then it's really best for you to know these things, so that when you go to the nearest police station, it would be easier for them to find the person. And then they could actually send a subpoena to the person, and then you both can meet in the police station. And then from the police station, you can settle. You can talk about your accusation. Now, if they want to settle, or you want to settle for whatever that is, then that's actually the first step. But if you just say, this person accused me, but you can't actually tell who that person is, you don't have proof, then you might be countersued. So that person you tried to sue can actually sue you. So in Tagalog, halimbawa, may nag-post sa'yo, nagbully sa'yo sa Facebook or TikTok, and then you don't know the exact information of that person, and then the police didn't find any like proof from your accusation, so that person na nireklamo mo, pwede kanyang i-countersue ng defamation. So, 'di ba, nakakatakot 'yan. So, if you really want to sue the person, be sure that you have the proof. Lagi kong sinasabi yan, you should have the screenshots of the conversations. You have the link to prove that you're bullied, or else talagang you would suffer the consequences of accusing the person wrongly. Yeah. Hello. Hello ma'am, totoo po bang next month ay magtatanggal ng face mask? Option lang na lang kung sino may gusto. With that, it's just a plan. But for now, today we have like 60,000 COVID patients, so I don't think that would be approved. But we'll just wait. But there's a good news, because the quarantine is cut short, so from 7 days to 3 days. But Taiwan always changes their guidelines, so we still have to be updated on so many things every week or every day. I hope I answered your question. Hi Medicine. So let's continue.
Important pieces of evidence kept out, done differently, handled differently by a judge and
hello
jury.
Ilan,
Some evidence is
TLT,
admissible in
TTF,
UK court, but it's not admissible
CTS25.
in a U.S. court. Do you think that maybe he just had better lawyers?
I will say his lawyers did certainly a better job of distracting the jury from the real issues.
No, that is really a very serious statement there, that his lawyers, that means Johnny Depp's lawyers, did a great job on distracting the juries on the right kind of issue, because the juries are smart people. They are trained very well. That's why they became juries. Now, if you undermine the skills of the juries that way, I think that's very, how do you call it? A very big insult to those people who are actually trying to do their job. So, there are so many news going around on television and on TikTok on social media, that she's gonna appeal, and I kind of saw a video that she actually tried to appeal for the case, and with that kind of statement against the jury, I doubt that she's gonna have her appeal. That's really an insult to many of those people who are working so hard just to hear them both. So, if for me, you just have, even if you did not do anything wrong, and that's the verdict, it's better for you to be quiet for some time and let the situation calm down. And when things are better and when things are calm, you can actually just go on with your story, and perhaps by that time people are ready to listen to you. Sometimes we just have to learn how to be quiet. God bless you then. And hello Ilan, hello everyone who are with me this afternoon. I'm half. Thank you TLT. I hope you bear with me.
They just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing, and don't.
I really like the word from the host. People are disgusted, which is really true. People are really very much disappointed, especially when there was that situation wherein the people during the trial are shown the picture of that, her feces on top of their marital bed. That's so really disgusting. That's literally disgusting.
Don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that?
Absolutely. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered. And
with this statement here, when she said, I wouldn't blame an average person with her stand, because she's not only insulting the host as below average, but all those people, the juries and everyone, not only the social media, who are really watching and trying to follow the trial. Carly, ma'am, pwede pakisagot naman po itong how if nakauwi ka at may re-entry visa ka pero di ka na nakabalik, ano mangyayari? Oh, okay. What will happen is a no-show, right? So parang nag-AWOL ka. That would be like a breach of contract. Now, if you're in the Philippines already, that would be very difficult to sue you. Okay, sige, tagalogin ko na po para maliwanagan yung mga kaibigan natin, ano? Kasi hindi lang po ikaw ang nagtanong nito. There were like few who asked the same question. So, this is really alarming, and I think you guys should be very careful on this. Now, hindi lang po ikaw yung nagtanong nito. I think a few weeks ago, mga dalawa na ang nagtanong ng the same question. Nakauwi sa Pilipinas, merong pabalik na visa, pero hindi na nakabalik. Hindi sinabi kung anong rason bakit hindi nakabalik, but hindi na nakabalik. Now, what will happen dito sa Taiwan is, number 1, automatic na nag-AWOL ka sa work. Diba? So, that's absence without leave, right? Number 2, dahil foreign worker ka, that would be breach of contract. So, that means meron kang babayaran dahil bigla kang nag-breach ng contract mo. Bigla kang hindi mo pinatuloy ang kontrata. So, pangatlo, dahil wala ka sa Taiwan, nasa Pilipinas ka, mahirap kang patungan ng kaso. Kasi nga, wala naman tayong extradition law. Ano ba yung extradition law? Yan po yung pwede kang patungan ng kaso sa ibang bansa. Kahit nasa ibang bansa ka, wala tayong ganyan between Taiwan and Pilipinas. So, kung nasa Taiwan ka, pwede kang pauwiin sa Pinas. Pero pag nasa Pilipinas ka na, as a Filipino citizen, you cannot be taken away from the Philippines. So, ang mangyayari lang po dyan, magiging, one of the hit list dito. Ano ba yung hit list? Parang nakakatakot naman. Parang magiging blacklisted ka lang dito sa Taiwan. Or if your company didn't really care about that, then they won't do that. But that's the worst that would happen to you. So, probably hindi ka na makabalik dito. Diba? Yan lang yung number 1. Or if you come here, you would answer to the penalties ng previous company mo na hindi mo binayaran kapag matrace na the same person ka. But you can't really change your name, right? Because that's illegal. Kana po makabalik kahit kailan, ganun po ba? That is possible. That is possible. So, if I were you po, at sa lahat po ng nagtanong nito, you go to TECO, Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office. That's in Makati, right? I think it's the same place. You go to TECO and report your situation. Bakit hindi ka nakabalik? And if your reason is valid, like pandemic ngayon or nagka-COVID ka, then most probably they would help communicate to your company and they can arrange everything to you para hindi ka magkaroon ng masamang record dito sa Taiwan. That's the best thing. Honesty is still the best policy.
Not think that it is Hollywood brats at their worst. But what people don't understand is it's actually so much bigger than that. This is not only about our First Amendment right to speak.
But here's the thing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation.
Okay. Now, this is really important kasi on social media, people are always trying to overuse the word, this is my freedom of speech. Now, exactly, Carly. So, honesty is the best policy. So, it would really be my best opinion for you is to go to Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office and report what happened to you. Why weren't you able to come back here in Taiwan? And I think the most valid reason is COVID-19 pandemic. I think it's so difficult to grab a plane right now. And aside from that, with the higher risk of infection here in Taiwan, because we have an average of 60 to 70,000 a day of COVID-19. So it would be very practical for anyone not to come back here. So it's really a great idea for you to go to TECO and report your problem, and I think TECO would really understand the situation, most especially if you have a valid reason. Now, to continue with this kind of freedom of speech, this is really abused by many social media users. Like, we all think this is social media, this is my post, this is mine, 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 mine. You look like Golem, Smeagol of Lord of the Ring, my precious, mine, 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 mine. We are very much like, how do you call it? We are so self-absorbed of our own idea of happiness and fun. And thank you to Carly for sharing your situation to me. Yeah, so how do I phrase this that you guys won't be offended? You know, people doesn't like me. Not everyone likes me. Why? Because I always try to tell the truth. Like right now with Carly, I told you honesty is the best policy. You have to go there. You have to tell them your own truth, and perhaps by that kind of situation, you would be pardoned, right? Now, not everyone would tell you that kind of advice. Some people would say, "Oh, you just skip. Anyway, you're in the Philippines. It's okay. It doesn't matter." But you know, the guilt won't give us peace. That's the most difficult thing to carry when you have guilt in your heart. Like when we post something on our TikTok and we think like, oh, it's just for fun, I feel happy and I have a lot of reactions, people are liking it, people are commenting it's funny, so I think it's okay. But when you think to justify that to other people who are going against your post, there's a guilt there. So remember when we have this kind of saying back there in the Philippines that when you doubt it, that means there's something wrong with it. We call that instinct. Our gut is telling us that it's not right. Now, with Amber Heard, she said things like this. It like about freedom of speech. It really tells so many things about us, including myself. That's why every time I say something, every time I try to let's say give an advice to many of our Filipino friends right here, I really tried to be very careful on whatever I tell you. And if I don't know anything about it, I would really call the agency and try to verify the information before I say something about it, because I don't want you to have a wrong impression in anything, and I don't want you to be doing something that would perhaps cause you pain or trouble, or you know, something that might happen to you that's gonna end up bad. That's why it's really essential for each of us to be very careful on social media and what to believe in social media. Let's talk about having the permanent residency here. You know, I was reported, and my video about that was reported and it was taken away, and I was notified by TikTok that if I'm not gonna delete that post, I would be terminated permanently. And you know what I did on that video? I just said that it's not yet approved. I was just telling the truth. But other videos on TikTok who are circulating up to now, they're trying to tell all the Filipinos that it's already approved, that you can actually be a resident here. But it's not that easy. You know, I don't want to give you false hopes. We should be truthful in our hopes, you know. Somehow it's important to tell the truth so that we won't hurt other people. You know, because Filipinos would tend to trust these words. She's a Filipino too, so I think she's telling the truth, but it's not always that way. That's why we have to be very careful on who to listen to and who to talk to, so that you won't be doing something bad, you know, doing something wrong. Hi, Lucifer. Hindi na nga po siya pinagbayad. Yeah, there is no intent of asking her to really pay it. True. But then, of course, she's guilty and she has pride. So she wanted to appeal for that, saying that she doesn't have money to pay Johnny Depp. But, you know, for the truth told already, Johnny Depp has everything already. Money doesn't really matters anymore. And why people are reacting, why am I reacting to her interview? It's because I wanted to, you know, say something to those who are really victims of domestic violence. I really feel for these people because it's not easy. You know, there are so many Filipinos here who committed suicide. Not many, but there are a number of people, Filipinos, committing suicide because they're not heard. Yeah, and Amber Heard paid a lot of money to be heard, and she still feels like she's not being heard. That's really very repetitive of me, right? Heard, Amber Heard, heard. Hello, Binibini. Hi. So let's
And
continue.
that was the issue in the case.
Yes, exactly.
We're almost done
You
here.
can't go into free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire. We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks. My understanding of what that means is not just the freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power.
Truth to power. Now, anyone who is a victim of domestic violence would feel like they don't have the power. But she actually says something about truth to power that actually leads to this reaction of the host.
The truth is the word.
Yes.
And that was the issue.
And the
See, the truth is the word, and that is the issue. It was like a slap on her face being interviewed about what happened during the trial. And it's like the host is trying to educate her about what's the reality that's been happening and what the social media has perceived about her. Binibini, I really appreciate you po yung concern nyo sa mga Filipino. Thank you, Binibini, because I'm a Filipino. And I'm proud to be a Filipino. I am a Cebuana. I can speak Bisaya. You know, I understand Bisaya very well. And the reason why I'm doing this is that I want to be really just like, you know, a guide to many of us here. I also experience a lot of heartbreaks here in Taiwan. I've been heartbroken several times caused by our fellow Filipinos. But I didn't give up. Like, I didn't lose hope. Because I know there are good people there. So, Miss Binibini, pero iba po kasi negative kaya di nila maintindihan. True. There is truth to that. And some people, the reason why some people didn't give you a chance to be heard, it's because first, you don't have the popularity like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Second, you don't have the luxury of money to pay for people who's gonna stand beside you like the lawyers of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And finally, if you are not really into entertainment, like I've heard this from the Department of Education Secretary Briones. She said to me when I asked her a question, like, Filipinos love to listen to negative news, but they think good news is boring. So, you know, people who doesn't know me would just, you know, say something really, words that are unpleasant. But if they just know deep down, they would feel bad saying that towards me. So I don't have to explain anything about to those people. And in fact, many people really binibini grab the opportunity of my reaction to use it on their own account, and they benefit from it. They actually just like use all those videos circulating on TikTok with my face there, and they react to that. And it's just a digital way of saying marites. You know, we use that marites all the time, but you know, when we use social media, we kind of open our lives to those people who wants to talk about you or say something against you or unpleasant or bad things. So it's my choice to react that way, to speak of something that I believe is for the benefit of the Filipino people. Now, if they don't understand that, then we will just go back to the kind of peace we have in our heart. Now, for me, I don't feel guilty about it because I think it's necessary to educate our Filipino friends. Now, if they think it's for fun, it's for happiness, or if it's for the good of whatever they feel it's good, then it's up to them. But when they go to sleep, are they peaceful? That's the big question there. So from Carly, it's not only like that, but they are stubborn. That is why. There are really truth in what you said. So even Amber Heard, see, it's the lawyers are telling her that she's wrong and Johnny Depp is right. She can't even accept the reality. So I think that's the difficult thing with being a human being. You know, being a
That's
human
all I spoke.
being a human being is really pretty interesting, because sometimes if we are very much how do you call it, if we believe in that kind of truth, somehow it's so difficult to persuade us to believe otherwise. For instance, if when you grow up and you're told by your mom that you're beautiful, you're the most beautiful thing in the world. Now when you went to high school and there are so many beautiful girls out there, and you felt like you're not the most beautiful, you feel bad, you know. And that's the problem there. Somehow if you're trained to believe in yourself, only in yourself, and you don't have that open space to learn from others, then you would be reacting like TMM Angel. And I don't really have to say I wanted to be famous, because you're here and you're invited, so it's up to you. And to be very honest, I didn't really like many of the posts of the Filipinos here on TikTok, because some of the posts are very degrading. But then again, I tried to encourage people to at least act with class. Yes. Now, TMM Angel, I'm glad that you're happy.
And I spoke it to power, and I paid the price.
In the closing arguments, the Depp lawyer called your testimony the performance of a lifetime, and said you were
Thank
acting.
you. You don't like me, but
What'd you
you're
say
on
to
my
that?
live. Congratulations.
The lawyer
Sorry, I'm not
or
a
the man who
A
convinced
thing
the
is for
world he had
people like
scissors for
you.
fingers. I'm the performer. I had listened to weeks of testimony insinuating that, or saying quite directly that, you know, I'm a terrible actress.
Now let's talk about being a terrible actress. She really tried to persuade the viewers right now from the beginning of the interview. She was like telling everyone that Johnny Depp really has a very nice personality, that people think that she's really awesome, he's great, and he's a perfect actor. And she was like trying to tell everyone that this is not a Hollywood kind of situation, but she has forgotten that she's also from Hollywood, and she actually is one of the stars of Aquaman. So Binibini, I agree with you, ma'am. Act with class. Exactly, Binibini. You know what? Somehow in Taiwan, people, when they know that you're a Filipino, they would think exactly like you are a domestic helper or a caregiver. That's actually the first impression. But when they see you differently, not the way they see for whatever stereotype they had before, they would not actually ask you if you're a domestic helper. They would actually ask you like, oh, what have you been doing here in Taiwan? Are you a tourist? Are you a traveler? Are you a student? You know, this is because if a person behaves in a way that it's appropriate. So for me, let's say Binibini compared to TMM Angel, Binibini has class. And I'm so proud of you, Binibini, for being that kind of person. Because for me, it doesn't matter what kind of job we have in whatever country we are in. The most important thing is your character, how you behave. Because people will actually respect your character. It's not about how you look. Like, look at this filter, you look so beautiful. But with your words and your action, that really tells a lot about you as a person. So from Binibini, yes, in Taiwan, people will judge you based on what are you doing. I agree, Binibini. So that's why it's a principle when we say action speaks louder than words. it really is a principle. So if we don't want to be disrespected, then be a kind of person that deserves a lot of respect. Hello, V Berman. Hello, German. V German. Hello. Hello, Diha. So, Amber Heard is trying to convince us all, those who are following Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, she's trying to convince us all that she did not have the perfect performance compared to Johnny Depp. And for me, I think when you're in a court, you cannot perform as an actor. You can just be yourself. So what happened during the trial is that everyone perceives her not being herself. I think that's the most, let's say, perfect way to put it. Batang Highway, hindi lang nila naunawaan for positive yung advice, dami kasi negative. Thank you, Batang Highway. I think I understand what you're trying to imply here. Napanood ko, ma'am, your post na iba sa'yo, pero hindi naman nang bago, salud pa rin po ako sa'yo, ma'am. Thank you very much. From Binibini, sa panahon kasi ngayon, people use social media to make popularity. I agree to Binibini and of course to Batang Highway. Now, let me put it this way. In this world, especially in this digital era, it is pretty much, let's say, attractive to be able to be very much concerned about being famous and popular, because we have social media. We can post anywhere and anything we like. Now, on TikTok, the advantage of TikTok is that you don't have to have friends to be seen. It has a very open algorithm, and then if people watch you, then you would be reaching other algorithms from other places, other cities, other countries. Now, when we cannot handle popularity, that's the problem there. Because when we think that reactions from social media matters more than what you are as a person, then that's the time that you stop living the reality of being a human being. Exactly, Carly. All those people who know nothing, they will judge you. I do agree with this statement. Now, I think the best thing for me to share to everyone is that how do you handle this kind of people, those who judge you? Then show them with your class. That's the only thing. Because when there would come a time that you would be able to face them, really, vis-a-vis, and by that time, people will tell if they did something wrong against you, or their words even matter when they see you. You know, every time you say you've done something big, but it comes from you alone, you call that entitlement. But if people speak for you and of what you've done, then that's different. That's even more than popularity. It's like an achievement that you've done something really great in this country, in this world, or as a Filipino. Now, what if they don't believe in God? What if all they believe is themselves? Then, you know, a few days ago, I was listening to Abide app, and that's an app that really shares about the scriptures of the Holy Bible. It said, be patient. Yeah, somehow the wicked prospers, but in God's time, there would be a space that will be dug for these wicked people. So let God just answer to them and respond to what have they done. What we can do, what I can do, is just educate. Because in Romans book, it said, if you can see things, then you have to share what you see. If you are an educator, then educate. If you can inspire people, then inspire. Regardless of people liking you, just do what you think is right. Now, what would be your guide of things that is right? Then it's be reading the scripture. You know, this is one thing that I've learned while studying the Bible. There are two kinds of values. Well, three from my own opinion. One value is from God, and that's through the scripture. Another value is world values, what the people perceive normal right now. And finally, your self-value. That's what I've learned. So from Binibini, it said, Christian po kasi ako, kaya naintindihan kita, ma'am. I am also Christian, and you can't believe it. I am a Roman Catholic since birth, and then many Filipinos, especially migrants, would perceive Taiwan as savage. But you know, when I came here, I become Christian here. So it proves otherwise, right? That Taiwan and Taiwanese people are not savage after all. Maybe we just know little towards the Taiwanese people. That's why do I continue educating people about Filipinos and Taiwanese? That is to bridge the gap between the two countries. I've seen real Taiwanese culture, Taiwanese people. I've seen real Filipino people since I'm a Filipino. So, you know, I don't want to be very unfair towards the two culture, because I both love being a Filipino and being a Taiwanese. I'm a Filipino Taiwanese. So that's why every time I see important things to educate our friends, I really do share it. And not everybody loves to be educated. Not everyone wants to listen. So what can you do? Just speak of the truth. So that's what's happening between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp now. And Amber Heard was quite upset because her truth wasn't heard. Unfortunately, because people think that it's a lie. So now the question is, when you speak of a lie too often that you tend to forget the truth and believe the lie. And that's the scary thing there. Now, when you believe a lie, that would be the situation wherein you can't sleep really well at night, and you don't have peace in your heart, and when you don't have peace, you do several things that would really ruin yourself, your sanity, and other people. And then even if people would love you, because you don't have peace in your heart, you can't really understand the real meaning of love. And then somehow one day you receive the greatest blessing of love in your life, and because you are void of peace in your heart, and then you would ruin the opportunity. So the real meaning of self-love isn't really about pampering yourself and doing whatever you like. No, it's not about you only live once, you do everything you like. No, it isn't like that. Self-love is accepting who you are, knowing who you are, and knowing the limitation of yourself being a human being. Yeah, and it all comes back to the scripture. When Adam and Eve came to being by God, they were given everything except for one tree. And that applies to every one of us right here. You are free, but one, with a limitation. And I hope everyone will really understand that principle, because unless nobody understands that, then there would be a lot of people gonna do a lot of bad things in this world. Yeah, and then people would say, and that makes life interesting, right? So what we should do, speak up for the truth, so that more people would do good things and lesser people would do bad things. That's it. So the consequence is that people will hate you, but when you die, people will actually value you, because for once there's this person who is willing to speak of the truth, even if people will hate her or him, you know. I think that's the most important thing.
So I'm a bit confused how I could be both. The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you?
I never had to instigate it. I responded to it.
This is the most hurtful word I've ever heard from her interview. Like, this is the reason even why I reacted it. Because when you are a victim of domestic violence, you don't respond. From the word victim, You receive it, you absorb it. Now, when you respond, and that's a different story, that's already fighting. So, when she said these words, I felt a lot for the victims of domestic violence. You know, I have a friend from Singapore. I have a lot of friends teaching English from all over the world, to be very honest. And a friend told me that in Singapore last year, there were a lot of battered wives, and there were many wives killed by their own husbands just because of the, insanity that's been going on due to the work from home guideline, where people has to gather inside their homes and they can't go out, and people are having a hard time trying to adjust this kind of situation to this kind of arrangement. So not everyone can actually stay at home for a long time, right? So with this kind of interview, I felt really bad for those victims of violence. Like she said, it becomes normal and you just have to respond to it. When you're a victim, you get out from it. There are so many Filipino friends calling me, "Ma'am, please help me, tabangi ko, unsaon ako paghawa diri. Ma'am, please po, tulungan niyo po ako, ayoko na dito, paano po ito?" And when you are abused, you just call 113. You just call 110, and it doesn't only happen to the wives here or spouses here, it also happens to the migrant worker. Alam niyo po ba, may isang Filipino na nagsabi sa akin, talagang napaka-abusive ng ka-roommate nila and ka-workmate nila, to the extent na talagang masasama, hindi lang masama ang sinasabi, talagang physical talaga, namimisikal talaga. And since you are both migrant workers, you don't really know what to do. You don't have any idea on how to tell the people about it. So one time they heard about Hello Phil Thai, so they sent a message to me on my Facebook page, and then I get to have a chance to talk to the guy. And so I told him on what to do. So they were saved from that abusive migrant worker. And this, abuse is happening anywhere and everywhere. So I think it is really important to represent very well those victims, because they've been through a lot. Not only physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So that's why, I don't know.
When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt.
You say you were responding, but there is evidence. There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say,
Magandang hapon din. Good afternoon. OFWWT Celine.
Started the fight.
I know much has been made of.
No, if you are a victim of violence, you don't start a fight. You escape the fight. Really. So again and again, if you claim to be a victim of violence, be sure that you didn't also instigate or start violence yourself. It's just like, this is the final moment of this life, and you can actually just watch this on my Chini channel on YouTube if you want to know what I've said before. This is the final message I'm going to tell everyone, and I think I've been repeating this for several times. From Bernick, facts and evidence, period, true. So when you claim a verbal abuse, be sure that you are not verbally abusive as well. For instance, in a relationship between any, like boy-girl, girl-girl, or boy-boy, you felt like you were verbally abused, but you are also speaking some words that would actually abuse the other person, then you cannot claim you are the victim, because you are also abusing the other person. Now, if you don't want to be verbally abused, you can actually just help the person to change the way she or he speaks. Like, for instance, in Taiwan, it's so normal for them to say 白痴, stupid, or 笨笨, it's also stupid or foolish. Then you can actually educate the person that in the Philippines, when you say those words, it's not very polite, then maybe we can like stop speaking those words. You know, it's very possible to change a person by being the example. Now, you said I'm a physically abused person. Now, if you do the hurting first, then that won't work, because if you hit first, then the person would actually just defend oneself. So that's why I'm asking everyone to try not to hit your partner or your friends. Okay, thank you, Rambi, for the rose. Really, just be kind. And I know this is a common advice from so many Filipinos out there, that if you have any misunderstanding or quarrel or fight, don't sleep if it's not settled. But take it from me, if you felt like there's a friction already, if you felt like you're not happy or unhappy or uncomfortable, or you're sulking from the word sulking itself, you just have to be quiet. And afterwards, if you're calm enough, you can tell the person why you feel bad, why you felt that way, and what should be done so that it won't happen again. Okay? Actually, communication also entails a lot of courage to speak of what you want. It's not charot, madam. I'm not actually just kidding here. You know, I'm not making charot or charot here. I am trying to educate people to fix their relationship. Now, if you don't think that's helping you, it's up to you. But from my experience, I am 40 years old and I've been married for 15 years. And with all the experiences and observations I have had here for 15 years, it's really important, you're right, Bernick, to really just be very open. Last night, I decided to create a draft on how to understand women, because I felt like it's very important for men to understand women this way. And I think not everyone actually are brave enough to speak of this problem towards women. Shout out, madam, not charot. Not charot jud. Wala jud tay charot dere. Dili usong charot, okay? Yeah, kay dili jud ko ganahag charot. Okay, so just stay tuned to that video. I'm gonna be posting that somehow, maybe on my Philtai channel or maybe on my Chini channel, but that video would be very important for men to understand women. And it really is very much relevant to the hormones of women, because more often women are accused of infidelity, that women always have this backup. But actually, women during their hormonal secretions, like before the period, during the period, and after the period, they are going through a lot of emotional outbursts that men cannot understand. But only if women understand this and they know how to communicate, which I'm going to be helping, and men would know this, then there would be no infidelity, there would be no backups, because you both are open to how to communicate to each other what your needs are, what she needs and what you need. Okay, so I think that's it for Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Anyone wanted to ask a question? Mimi Lynn Flores de Jose. Hello po, madam, kumusta po kayo? I'm good. Kumusta diha sa mga Bisaya? Maayong hapon natong tanan. Human ako sa akong live para kang Johnny Depp o Amber Heard. So, before I go, meron po ba kayong, tapos na po ako sa aking Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. And just to give chance to everyone, ano po mga questions po ninyo before I go sa live? Meron po ba kayong any question? So, words are so important. So, always remember, speak the way you wanted people to perceive you. And you cannot just say it's what you do, it's also what you say. That's very important. And that's what Amber Heard is suffering right now. She wanted people to see how she acted during the violence, but she's speaking otherwise. So that's why words are so important. What you say to other people actually characterizes you as a person. Yeah. Okay? So, I think wala na po kayong mga questions. So, shout out po sa inyong lahat sa mga nanonood. And Rambi, thank you for the rose, for joining the live all more often. Every time I'm live, you're there. Thank you, everyone. So, wala nang charot. Wala na yung mo charot diha. Okay, thank you guys for being with me, and have a great day. Bye.